This tutorial is for 3rd grade in Module 4, Lesson 7, and we've included it in Module 1 because of the connection to multiplication. Here we have some rectangles, and we're told to finish drawing the squares inside each rectangle to show the area, and then use multiplication to find the area. I'm going to do some of the more complicated rectangles to give you some strategies for figuring out the final answer if you're not that strong with your multiplication facts yet. Let's start with rectangle A. Again, I'm going to start by drawing in the rest of the rows and columns so we can see the array that we're trying to use here. I see that I have 3 rows of 4, so rectangle A is 3 times 4, which is 12 units. If I look at rectangle B, fill in my columns, I still have 4 columns, but this time I have 5 rows. This is showing 5 rows of 4. If I don't know 5 rows of 4, I could look at it as 5 rows of 2 and another 5 rows of 2. Here are 10 squares and another 10 squares, and that shows me that there's 20 squares altogether. So 5 times 4 is 20 square units. Let's look at rectangle D. That one's pretty big. So we're going to divide the columns. So you see there are 4 columns. And there are 7 rows. Multiplication sentence then is 7 times 4. If I don't know 7 times 4, I could look at it as 7 times 2, 7 rows of 2 squares, which is 14, and another 7 rows of 2 squares for another 14, and that gives me a total of 28 square units. By breaking up that 4 into 2 and 2, I can do some smaller multiplication problems to come up with the greater multiplication problem. And let's do one more. How about, let's look at F. I have 4 rows and 2 columns. The multiplication problem then would be 4 times 2, which is 8 square units. Just a reminder that the first number is telling me how many rows, and the second number tells me how many columns. We're going to use these same strategies to solve a couple of word problems. The first problem says the area of Benjamin's bedroom floor is shown on the grid to the right. Each square equals 1 square foot. How many total square feet is Benjamin's floor? We're to label the side lengths, then use multiplication to find the total number of squares. I'm going to count my squares on each side so I know the dimensions of the rectangle. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 columns. I have to multiply 9 times 11 to come up with my final answer. If I don't know what 9 times 11 is, I could look at this, break it into 2 rectangles. This rectangle is 9 times 10, and this rectangle is 9 times 1. 9 times 10 is 90. 9 times 1 is 9. And then I just combine both of those for my final answer. There are 99 square feet on Benjamin's floor. And we have one more question. It says Mrs. Young's art class needs to create a mural that covers exactly 35 square feet. Mrs. Young marked the area for the mural as shown on the grid. Each square equals 1 square foot. Did she mark the area correctly? Explain your answer. Well, first we need to figure out the dimensions of the mural. I'm going to count my sides to come up with the dimensions. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. So that would be the first number in my multiplication problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. Well, 7 times 6 can be thought of as 7 times 3 and another 7 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21, and another 7 times 3 is 21. That's a total of 42. So the mural is actually covering 42 square feet. In order to cover 35 square feet, we could show the multiplication problem 7 times 5. But this mural obviously has 6 columns, and so her drawing is incorrect. And we'll say no, the mural covers 42 square feet.